3 minutes ago, Kash Patel met a soldier today. Ted Lieu is not an ordinary politician. The Democratic congressman representing California. Yes, but before that, he was a JAG officer in the Air Force, a military lawyer who has dealt with every kind of case for years, from war crimes to espionage trials. Someone who knows interrogation techniques, someone who can smell a lie from across the room, someone who catches inconsistencies in facial expressions in seconds. You learn something in military courts that civilian lawyers never quite master. People follow certain patterns when they lie. They give evasive answers. They try to deflect the question with another question. They get caught up in irrelevant details, but miss the big picture entirely. Ted Lieu knows these patterns by heart. He has seen them in terrorists, in double agents, in corrupt officers who thought they were smarter than the system. And today, in the congressional chamber, he used his entire 2 decades of experience against FBI Director Kash Patel. The Epstein files were on the table again, but this time, something different happened. Lieu didn't ask the questions other members of Congress were asking. He came from a completely different angle. He struck from unexpected places, and he caught Patel completely unprepared for what was about to unfold. His first words tensed the entire room. Director Patel, I am a former military lawyer. I've conducted hundreds of interrogations throughout my career. I've questioned war criminals, spies, and traitors. And let me tell you this right now. The answers you've given so far today perfectly match the behavioral patterns of someone who is actively hiding something. The same techniques, the same defensive postures, the same body language tells. I've seen it all before. Patel tried to object, his hand raising slightly from the witness table. Lieu raised his own hand, cutting him off with military precision. I have no questions at the moment, Director. I am simply sharing my professional observation as someone trained to detect deception. My questions will be coming shortly, and I expect clear, direct answers to each one. Not summaries, not deflections, not bureaucratic word salads, clear answers. But what nobody understood yet. This wasn't another congressional hearing. This was a methodical military interrogation disguised as political theater. Lieu's strategy was brilliant. He didn't start with Epstein. That is what Patel expected. Instead, Lieu began with seemingly innocent FBI procedural questions to relax Patel's defenses. Classic military interrogation, make them comfortable, then strike. Director Patel, can you explain to this committee how a standard investigation file works at the FBI? Who reviews it initially? Who approves it for escalation? How does the chain of command function in your organization? Patel seemed relieved. Finally, something that felt harmless. Each investigation file is compiled by field agents, Patel explained. Significant cases are escalated directly to the directorate level. Important files end up directly on my desk for personal review. Lieu nodded slowly, setting the trap. Important files come to your desk. You personally review them. Is that accurate? That is correct, Congressman. Excellent. Now, Director Patel, would you classify the Jeffrey Epstein investigation as important? Patel hesitated for a fraction of a second. Lieu saw it. The pupils widening, the jaw tightening. Of course, the Epstein case is important. So the complete Epstein file came to your desk, correct? The trap had sprung. Patel walked into it using his own words. Some of the file's portions. You just told this committee under oath that important files come to your desk. You confirmed Epstein is important. Did the file come to your desk, yes or no? Patel struggled. I couldn't personally review the entire file. The summaries were provided to my office. Summaries. Lieu's voice carried disbelief. The FBI director reads summaries of the largest child sex trafficking case in American history, not the full file, not the actual witness testimonies, just summaries. Lieu had cornered Patel with his own words. The inconsistency was now in the congressional record. The interrogation moved to stage 2. Director Patel, the 15th of January, 2025. The FBI conducted an internal review of the Epstein files. Correct? Patel looked surprised, eyes narrowing. I don't recall exact dates. Let me refresh your memory. On the 15th of January, your office assessed the Epstein files. It determined there were 47 individuals in the high-profile names category. Is this correct? The chamber erupted. 47 names, first time the public heard this number. Camera zoomed in on Patel's pale face. This is classified. Congress has oversight authority. Does the report exist documenting 47 high-profile names that contradicts your "we found nothing" testimony? Patel was trapped by documentary evidence. A draft report was compiled, yes. Thank you. Lieu picked up a document. Let me read from this draft. 47 high-profile names identified, 12 politicians, 8 business executives, 6 media figures, the rest academics, lawyers, lobbyists, foreign nationals. He held up the paper, the FBI seal clearly visible for cameras. Director Patel, these figures come from the FBI's own internal report, your own agency's analysis. And yet you've repeatedly told Congress and the American people that there is nothing of substance in these files. How does that happen? How do 47 high-profile names become nothing? Patel went immediately on the defensive. Congressman, that report was a preliminary draft. It was not finalized. The assessment process involves multiple stages of verification. How many names are in the final report? Silence. Patel stared ahead. It would not be appropriate to share that publicly. Lieu leaned back. Everyone listening, he is not saying, I don't know. He is saying it is inappropriate to share, which means there is a number, either too large or containing names too powerful to reveal. Stage 3, Patel now fully defensive, measuring each word carefully. Director, how many agents investigated these files? A specialized team around 10, maybe 11 agents. Lieu's eyebrows rose. 10 people. Director, do you know how many FBI agents investigated 9/11s? Over 7,000 Oklahoma City bombing, over 900. And you investigated the largest child sex trafficking network in history with 10 people. The comparison was devastating. 7,000 for terrorism, 10 for child abusers. The priorities were unmistakable. Patel tried to defend it. It is about quality, not quantity. Quality. Weren't you the one who only read summaries? What did your 10-person team find? Because you've said they found nothing. No client list, no accomplices. We couldn't locate a client list meeting prosecutorial standards. Careful. You couldn't find a list. You are not saying there are no clients. Are there client names in these files? Yes or no? Patel couldn't answer. His mouth open, closed, nothing came out. Are there client names in the files? Various names are mentioned in different contexts. Stop, everyone hear that. Various names are mentioned. That is confirmation. There are names, so who are they? How many? What categories? I cannot provide those details publicly. Lieu laughed bitterly. Same pattern every time. There are names, but you can't reveal them. You conducted a review, but didn't read complete files. 47 individuals identified, but you found nothing. Director Patel, are you running the FBI or a cover-up operation? The question hung in the air like smoke. No one moved. No one spoke. The only sound was the subtle whir of the C-SPAN cameras capturing every second for the historical record. But Lieu wasn't finished. The climax of his interrogation came when he took an unexpected turn that caught everyone off guard. Director, I want to shift gears for a moment. I want to ask you about Jeffrey Epstein's death. Patel's body language changed instantly. He became even more tense, even more guarded. He shifted uncomfortably in his seat. This was clearly a topic he wasn't expecting to address. The FBI officially closed the Epstein death investigation, ruling it a suicide. Is that correct? The official finding supports that conclusion, yes. Official finding. Interesting choice of words. So what do the unofficial findings say? Do you remember what independent autopsy expert Dr. Michael Baden testified? Patel didn't respond. Let me refresh your memory. Dr. Baden is New York's former chief medical examiner. He has decades of experience. He has performed or supervised over 20,000 autopsies. And Dr. Baden stated publicly that the neck fractures found on Jeffrey Epstein's body are far more consistent with homicidal strangulation than with suicidal, hanging multiple fractures of the hyoid bone, fractures of the thyroid cartilage. These injuries are commonly seen in strangulation victims, but they are exceedingly rare in hanging suicides. Did the FBI evaluate Dr. Baden's professional assessment? External expert opinions were noted and added to the investigative file. I didn't ask if they were added to a file. I asked if they were evaluated. Those are two completely different things. Adding a piece of paper to a file is one thing. Actually taking that assessment seriously, investigating the discrepancies, following up on the alternative explanation, that is evaluation. So which was it? Patel paused, measuring his words carefully. The assessment was reviewed, and our official finding did not change. Lieu leaned forward, his military prosecutor persona fully engaged now. So let me understand your position. An inmate commits suicide in a maximum security federal prison. This inmate happens to be the most high-profile prisoner in America, someone with information that could potentially implicate dozens of powerful individuals. This prisoner is supposedly on suicide watch, which means enhanced monitoring. And yet somehow, on the night of his death, the following things all happened simultaneously. Both security cameras outside his cell malfunctioned at the exact same time. Both guards assigned to monitor him fall asleep at their posts during the same shift. The automated camera system that should have recorded everything somehow produces no usable footage. And the physical evidence on the body shows injury patterns that a former chief medical examiner says are more consistent with murder than suicide. He paused, letting each point land with full weight. Director Patel, do you consider all of these simultaneous failures and inconsistencies to be mere coincidence? Do you believe it is normal for all of these systems to fail at the exact same moment on the exact same night? The investigation followed standard protocols, and the conclusion was based on the available evidence. The investigation is complete. Just like the Epstein files investigation is complete. Just like the client list research is complete. Everything is always complete, but nothing ever comes out of it. Every investigation ends with the same word, closed. But there are never any results. No arrests, no prosecutions, no accountability. Isn't that strange? Director, doesn't that strike you as odd, doesn't it? Concern you that every single investigation into this case seems to end in silence? As Lieu prepared to finish his questioning, he made one final devastating move. Director Patel, I have one last question for you. This is a yes or no question. I don't want evasive answers. I don't want lengthy explanations. I don't want bureaucratic language. I want one of two words, yes or no. Patel waited, visibly tense. Will all of the Epstein files, every document, every photograph, every video recording, every piece of evidence currently held by the Department of Justice and the FBI, will all of this material be released to the public one day? Yes or no? Patel thought carefully. You could see him running through the options in his head. There are legal obstacles that prevent yes or no, director. Some materials will never be appropriate for public release due to yes or number. Lieu's voice had risen. His patience had completely evaporated. The military discipline had cracked, revealing the raw anger underneath. Patel swallowed hard. Number. Some materials will never be shared with the public. The chamber fell into absolute silence. Lieu shook his head slowly. There was a long pause before he spoke again. Finally, an honest answer. He says it will never be shared. Never. Not in 10 years. Not in 50 years. Never. So my question to you and to everyone watching this hearing is simple. Why? Who is being protected? Which names are so powerful that the American public will never be allowed to know them? Which power centers, which institutions, which individuals are ensuring that this information remains buried forever? No response. Patel stared straight ahead, his face unreadable. More than 250 children were abused in this trafficking network, director. 250. Families were destroyed, lives were shattered. Little girls and little boys had their childhood stolen from them. They will carry that trauma for the rest of their lives. And you are sitting here under oath telling us that we will never know the full truth about who did this to them. We will never know all the perpetrators. Some of those names will be protected forever. Is this what you call justice? Director, is this transparency? Is this accountability? Is this what those victims deserve? Lieu stood up from his seat, his military bearing fully present. I was a military lawyer for the United States Air Force. I prosecuted war criminals. I interrogated enemy combatants. I looked into the faces of people who had betrayed their country and their fellow soldiers. And I want to tell you something that I know from that experience. The pattern of deception I have witnessed in this chamber today is no different from the patterns I saw in those military courts. The same evasive techniques, the same deflection strategies, the same careful word choices designed to avoid accountability, the same essential dishonesty. He turned to face Patel directly. History will judge you, Director Patel, and those victims, those more than 250 children whose lives were destroyed. They will judge you too. Maybe not today, maybe not tomorrow, but someday, absolutely, that judgment will come. The truth always comes out eventually. It might take years, it might take decades, but it comes out. And when it does, your testimony here today, your evasions, your refusal to provide clear answers, your protection of powerful names, all of it will be part of that historical record. By the time the hearing concluded, Kash Patel's credibility had collapsed completely. Every defense had been systematically dismantled. The phrase, "important files come to my desk," had been exposed as hollow. He claimed the files reached his desk, but he'd only read summaries. He testified they found nothing, yet an internal FBI report documented 47 high-profile names. He defended the investigation, but assigned only 10 agents to what he himself called the largest trafficking case in history. He said there was no client list, but admitted names exist throughout the files. He claimed everything was transparent, yet confirmed that some materials would never be released to the public. Ted Lieu had moved through his interrogation step by step, methodically turning every answer into a new contradiction, every statement into a new trap. The net result was undeniable. The FBI was hiding files. They claimed the investigation was complete, but the director hadn't even read the complete files. Every silence screamed that powerful people were being protected. The American people deserved answers. But as Patel himself finally admitted, those answers might never come. And that word never became the heaviest word in the entire hearing. Never for more than 250 victims. Never for their families. Never for a country that deserves to know the truth about who was involved in one of the most horrific criminal enterprises in modern American history. Ted Lieu, the military lawyer from California, had left the FBI director completely exposed, vulnerable, and without a single convincing defense. Sometimes the most powerful weapon in a congressional hearing isn't partisan rhetoric or political theater. Sometimes it is just a former military prosecutor who knows exactly how to recognize deception, exactly how to set a trap, and exactly how to force the truth into the light even when powerful people desperately want to keep it buried in darkness forever.